He's like, we'll do it live. It's a meme. I can't believe you haven't seen it. I guess I'm showing my age again. Wow, these guys are getting ready to come in. Liv Ortega. Hello. I was just saying your name. I don't know if it's Liv or Leave. Is it Liv?
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't change my daughter's name. It's actually Chantel Gonzalez. I'll change that. Sorry.
You're like, Liv, I don't see her.
I'm like, where is she?
Hi, Chantel. It's nice to meet you. Thanks for coming. Hi, Rebecca. You're kicked back and having a nice sunny afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. We just got home from Disney a couple hours ago, so I'm relaxing right now.
Which world did you go to?
We went to Disney World. So we hit 4 days in the park. So I hit all of them.
So you had like the World Hopper pass, or do they still have those?
Yeah, the park hopper. Yeah. It was a lot of fun though.
I heard there's some really awesome new water park that they just built like not long ago.
Yeah, we didn't do that. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time. So is Epcot still awesome? I haven't been to Disney in 20 years.
Yeah, this was only our second time going, and the last time was 5 years ago, and there's a lot changed just in 5 years. So I can't imagine what's changed now, but yeah, it's pretty awesome for sure.
Oh, we've got a friend who's showing up. Like sometimes we have people show up that we know, and tonight is one of those nights. So it's nice. I see Jason Kinski. John, you see Jason? Jason Kinski. Oh, Jason's nice. Been our friend for like 15 years now, and we love strangers. Thank you, Chantel. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Jane. Good to see you. Glad y'all are here. We're not going to take up much of your time tonight. That's a promise to you, but the time we do spend hopefully will be well spent and created for you. And one thing that we know is that people don't generally tend to trust you if you don't do what you say you're going to do. Unmet expectations create resentment. And so what you can count on from us tonight is that we will be as quick as we can. I would say that in 24 minutes, we will be complete with the little bit of solar knowledge that I have to share with you. And at the end of those 24 minutes, you will know if you want to do what people have been doing like very rapidly recently. Like there's a solar project that's installed in America every minute and 15 seconds. Everybody's doing it, Jason. Everybody's getting them. And so even since we started, there's been like 6 or 7 people, if I could do math right, that have actually gone solar. We can help you do that. We've helped people in 15 states actually go solar. And because y'all were kind enough to come support a good cause tonight, you get a really good deal too, because we don't have to pay salespeople or marketers to find you. We just have to bribe you with $50. And we know that's why you came mainly, and we're okay with that. Thank you for showing up to support a good cause. And we want to make this the easiest fundraiser ever. So this is how it works. All you have to do is introduce yourself, tell us your name, where you are in the world, and which organization you came to support. And that will raise the $50 that y'all came to raise. And then we'll spend the next 22 minutes talking about the cool things about solar energy. And then if you want to stick around longer, the reason we're a little bit late getting on tonight is because we just got off with the guy who talked to us for an hour and 45 minutes afterwards, just because he liked what he heard. But we don't expect you to do that. There's no requirement of that, but it's okay if you do, because we're here for y'all. So let's start out with the introductions. My name's Lester. I'm the guy in the pink shirt with the way too serious face. John's on here tonight. He's the bow tie guy with his sunglasses on. We got old Luke with his dog. Luke's on here tonight too with his ball out. This is our team. We don't have dinosaurs on our team. This is not Jurassic Park. We wish we did, but we do think solar is pretty neat. The sun has been around as long as the dinosaurs have been around, so it's a valid topic. So that's the introduction of the Ovanova team. So, Jason, I'm going to start out with you since I know you. We've known each other for a long time. Could you introduce yourself and tell us where you are and if there's an organization you want to support, who it is?
So, Jason Kensky, I'm in not Silver Spring, I'm in Highland, Maryland, and I've known Lester for almost 20 years. And I guess an organization that I'm supporting is BACA, BACA, Bikers Against Child Abuse. Just been following them for a while and a big supporter. So that's where I'm at, and I'm here to support Lester and John and everything they do.
With Jason, you just raised $50 for BACA. You want to give yourself a hand? Was that a pretty easy fundraiser?
Yeah, right.
Who would you like to hear from next? We're playing Duck, Duck, Goose. You get to pick the goose.
Take it away, Luke.
Hey, I'm Luke. I'm currently in Indianapolis, Indiana, but part of the Nova team. So just here to support the organizations y'all are here to support. And I will pick Rebecca.
Hi, Rebecca Smith. I'm here outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and I am supporting Parkview High School band boosters.
Zippity doo dah, zippity.
Right.
Rebecca just got back from Disney. If you guys missed that stuff, welcome, Rebecca. Yeah. Do you know we were? God, anyway, I'll be quiet. I'm talking too much. Who do you want to hear from next?
Let's hear from Jane next.
Ask you to unmute.
Okay, hi, I'm Jane Dawson from near Cambridge, Ohio, and my in a fundraiser for Sun Lake High School Band in Florida.
Now, Cambridge, is that close to Athens or Zanesville, southeast?
It's about half an hour east of Zanesville.
I think do you have like Licking Valley and Licking Heights? Is that the school district in that part of the world? Have you heard of them before?
I have heard of them. They're farther north around Newark, Ohio, though.
I'd love to know.
I'm in Rolling Hills School District now. My granddaughters go to, they live in Florida, and I'm sponsoring my granddaughter down there at Sun Lake High School.
You can text them, Jane, and say, I raised $50 for you because you just did, because you introduced yourself. I lived in Zanesville one summer. That's why I was asking.
You did?
Yeah,
I worked there for 18 years.
At the college or on the Y Bridge?
No, I was a hospice RN, home traveling nurse.
So, I think it's worth a minute of our time tonight to ask you this. As a hospice nurse, do you have any advice? You've seen a lot of people on the way out. Do you have any advice for people who are still alive about things that the people on the way out told you they'd done?
Oh, yes. Trust Christ as our Savior. It's a whole lot easier and easier way. I've seen it both ways.
So peaceful people have a sense of faith.
Yes, they do. Put your faith in Christ.
Well, Jane, thank you for joining us, and thank you for raising $50 for Sun Lake High School. This hopefully will be fun for you. It won't take long. And then we have Chantel left. So I think she's the only one besides John. Chantel, you want to go? Or Chantel?
Sure. My name is Chantel Gonzalez. I am from Miami, Florida, and I'm raising, I joined to support Archimedean Academy, which is where my daughter goes.
And there are some smart parents at that school. We met a calculus teacher at the University of Miami whose kid goes to Archimedean High School. I have no idea what y'all do, but
that's comforting. That's comforting because the school is very difficult, and every day I'm rethinking why I'm going through this struggle in kindergarten. But that's good to know. It seems to be filled with good people.
Yeah, they're really good-hearted people. You guys listen well. Thank you for showing up. Thanks for raising $50. So just like that, we're 8 minutes into it. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We raised $250 in 8 minutes. That's not quite as good as candy bar sales, they taste a lot better. But hopefully you'll learn something tonight. And you can stop me at any point you have a question, but just to let you know what to expect. We've got 17 minutes of this 25 minutes left. I've got a clock I'm looking at, and we'll be done then. We know that you're busy more than anything else. If you're moms and you're doing fundraisers and grandmas, you're busy. And then the next step, if you like what you hear, you can either hang around for a long time tonight, like the guy Jeff Wilson did from down in Georgia. We just talked to Rebecca. You might know them. And then, or you can book a time to get back in touch with us if you enjoy what you hear, and we can talk about your specific situation. Or we'll stick around and answer follow-up questions. But the first question I have to ask, have you all noticed this where you live? Have you noticed that a lot of people are going solar, or is it still kind of new in your community? Like, what have y'all seen where you live?
I would, this is Chantal. I would say new, because I've been to a bunch of different places where this is very popular and kind of hoping to see it over here in Miami and in the community, but it seems to be, if any, in bigger, like I've seen it in apartment buildings, but not for just regular residential communities.
Well, we need some leaders, I always say Chantel. I'm going to say
You got it. However you feel comfortable. Chantel's fine.
Well, thank you for making me comfortable. We need leaders in communities. You're welcome to be one of the first. How about you, Jane? Ohio actually had a pretty big surge in solar recently. Has that happened where you are, or have you not seen it yet or noticed it?
No, we haven't seen very much of that around where we are. Besides Ohio, is through the winter, it's pretty gray and dreary and not a whole lot of sun. But I don't know how useful it would be in the winter.
Well, let's talk about those things, because guys, everybody's getting them. Jason, you've probably seen in Maryland, there's a lot of solar going up in Maryland. Maryland and Ohio are both two states that will pay you extra just for making clean electricity. So what's your experience been so far, JK?
In my area, I haven't seen a ton of solar go up. I can tell you that a lot of the people where I'm at are second homeowners. So there's a lot of new roofs going up. I've not seen a ton of solar going up in residential houses, but I'm sure it's coming in the next 5 or 10 years.
It's coming. And that's why we created this crazy thing where we give money away and bribe people to show up to learn about it. Because we just thought, if more people knew how cool it was, more people would be doing it. So I've got 4 things that I hope you can learn something from about what makes solar cool. I'm going to share it with you, and then I'm going to be quiet and get into some questions, and then it'll be 25 after, and we'll be done. So here's your 4 solar facts, if you don't take anything else away. Number 1, how many of y'all knew already that the government would pay for 26% of your solar if you did do it? Didn't know that. Rebecca didn't know it. Chantal. Well, you learned something tonight, Jane. You learned something. Like Jason.
Yeah, yes, I did.
Yeah, it's a tax credit. So 26% of the entire cost of your system, you get to keep and not send in taxes next year or whenever you go solar. It's a program that started in the Obama administration and it was extended in the Trump administration. So, the politicians seem to like this one part where they let you keep your taxes to pay for your solar panel. Pretty cool to have Uncle Sam actually chip in, huh?
Oh, yeah.
So if you've heard solar is expensive, it's just because sometimes people don't know that. Here's the second thing about solar is it will actually increase the value of your property. Now, the way some people estimate that is, I don't understand how they do it. Like Zillow says it will increase your property value by 4%, but I don't really understand where they get that number. The amount it should increase your property value is how valuable the electricity is versus what you would have to pay for it otherwise. So here's an example of somebody in Florida who is spending $127 a month on electricity. Over the warranty period of the solar panels they could have used to make their own electricity, if they don't go solar, they're going to spend almost $40,000. So Rebecca, or who's got Jason, I'm going to pick on you since you're here. Do you have your phone out where you can use a calculator real quick?
Not really. No, no, I don't.
Okay. John, do you want to help
I can
Jason?
do it for him, Lester.
What's that?
I can use my calculator for Jason.
Okay. Jason, how much money do you spend a month on electricity right now?
I want to say about $240.
Okay. And so $240, how many months are there in a year?
16.
So it's 12. So it's 2880.
No, there were 16 months in 2020. Let's just be fair about that.
That's what I was going for.
It seemed like 20 years in 2020. That was a wild thing we just went through. And so, Jason, do you know how long solar panels are guaranteed for?
I know 30, 40 years?
25 years, but they'll
25?
work a lot longer than that because they don't have
Okay.
moving pieces. The first one still works. So this is your debt to the utility company if the price of electricity never goes up. Can you read that number that John has on his calculator right now?
72.
72 what? Thousand.
Okay. Yeah, 72K.
Have you ever thought about before that you have a $72,000 debt that in 25 years you won't be a day closer to paying off, even after you pay the entire thing?
Sure.
I mean, it's wild, isn't it? Like, we love electricity,
It's a lot
but
of
to
money.
pay a never-ending bill. What's that? What'd you say, JK?
No, you're good. Keep going.
No, I'm having fun talking to y'all. So here's, and Jason's, what was that number, John? 72?
72. That's how much I'm spending over 25 years.
Right. And so this is an example of somebody that's spending 40. To go solar was about half that. You kick in the tax credit, and they made a $15,000 purchase that was worth $38,000. So if you bought a kitchen for $15,000 that was worth $40,000, the difference is what the home value increase should be. Plus, like Rebecca was saying with COVID, if we didn't learn anything this year, didn't we learn how quickly systems can fall apart when there's not people willing to go execute them every day? And it just makes a lot of people feel good to know that they can make their electricity at home, where you don't have to rely on somebody actually being able to show up to the power plant so that you're safe. Energy security is important. So that's number 2 on the list. Do you understand why your house would be more valuable if it can make its own electricity?
Sure.
Okay. Number 3, you can start using solar without paying a dime to install. So I'm curious, how many of y'all have heard that there's a big upfront cost to going solar?
Yeah.
Jason has, Rebecca has, that Jane has. Jane, that used to be true, but now it works just like an iPhone does. Have any of y'all ever walked in an iPhone store and walked out without paying a dime, and then you just have a monthly bill? Instead, they just add it to your phone bill.
Right.
That's how solar works now.
Plus interest.
Plus interest, right? And so what most people are finding out, and I'll share with y'all, here's another example of some, like, this is that same family that was spending $127 a month. What they found out is that the $127 a month of electricity they were buying, they can make themselves for $90 a month. And that included installation, it includes warranties, it includes finance charges, interest that Jane was talking about. Like, all inclusive, it is less expensive to make electricity at home. And then probably the 4th, so with 0 down. But the coolest part about this is that you don't have to go get another job. Like, when you buy your iPhone, that's a new debt. You do have to pay that back. That's money that you didn't have to earn before, that you now have to earn. But solar is like your rent versus your mortgage. Rent, you just pay month after month after month after month after month, and you're never any closer, no matter how many months you pay it, to actually paying off this process. But I'm getting kind of a sidetracked here. The point I'm trying to make is that you use the money that you used to send to the electricity company to pay your solar bill, the way you use what used to be your rent money to pay your mortgage. So those are the 4 coolest things that we find people just don't know. How many of y'all learned something? Yay! So it was a successful fundraiser and educational outreach platform. Now we have 7 minutes left, and I've covered very few things. I have the top 3 questions that people ask, but I don't have to cover any of these. Do you see anything on this list, or is there anything else on your mind that you would like to talk about while we're here?
I definitely would like to know about number 3 for sure.
Cool. Well, let's play along then, Rebecca. We'll make this a conversation between us. It's totally okay to be wrong. What do you think determines how many solar panels you need?
I think it determines on how much electricity that you need and how big of a space that you have to put them on. Probably those 2 things.
The first one is dead on, and the second one is pretty close, but it's a little bit more precise than that. It's how much electricity do you need to make? And so we use this number that you share with us. Do y'all remember when you signed up, when you said I spent X amount per month on electricity? We just use that number to reverse engineer and find out what your kilowatt number is. And if you choose to continue your solar journey with us, like if this has been pleasant and you're willing to hop back on, what we'll do is we'll zoom in on your home, and we know how much light, like this is 6 o'clock at night in April, that sun is actually doesn't reach the panels because it's blocked by the tree. But 6 o'clock in July, the sun is at a higher position and it does reach it. So we can use our software to determine where the sun is all during the year, and then exactly how much electricity you can produce. And so it's based on, but like you said, Rebecca, if you don't have enough space on your house, you might not be able to create 100% of what you need. So that's why we invite people to continue the exploration process with us. So we can tell you this, but we'll create. Would you like to see how many panels you personally would that be useful for you for us to create an analysis for you and share it with you? Because we do that for free. Would you like to see your numbers, like how many panels you would need?
No, not tonight.
Oh, I don't mean tonight. I just mean to send it to you.
Oh.
You
Oh,
just
that
got
would
back-
be great. Yeah, I'm tired.
Yeah, you just got back from
Power.
Disney. Like, you don't have time. You're like, I know you told me that one guy was there for an hour and 45 minutes. I am not signing up for that.
Right.
So-
Yeah, I would be interested in that
Yeah.
for sure.
Then we'll be glad to send that to you. And if you want to, Luke already dropped in the chat a way to book a link or a way to book a time to follow up after you have a chance to review that. If you need to change your time, you can, but if you want to save some time, you can just use that. That was a very bad explanation of saying you can come back and meet us and here's how to do it. So yeah, how many solar panels depends on how much electricity you need to make and how much light your property receives. So what surprises most people to find out is that a solar panel that faces south will make as much electricity as 1.5 that faces north. You can put them anywhere you want to put them, but where you put them determines how many you'll need to produce the same amount of electricity. Cool. So anybody else see anything that you'd like to see on these questions, or do you have any other types of questions? We still have, well, the clock went away, 3 minutes.
Number one, does that include pretty much what you just said
Yeah,
about
but
the light determination?
no,
Yeah.
but you're in Ohio, and you already said that during the Ohio winters, there's not much light. So the way that works, Jane, is during the day you make more than you need, and then you get credits for sharing the leftovers with your neighbors. And so during some parts of the year, you're going to be making way more than you need. And then you just are getting credits for that you can trade in during the times of the year or the times of the day that you don't make enough. And we would look into your exact utility company for you and help you understand your agreements. Like, Rebecca, are you a Georgia Power customer, or are you Walton, or a new Georgia one?
Walton. Mhm.
Walton will pay you 4.7 cents for everything that you overproduce. So it's not quite a full credit. For y'all in Florida, it's a full credit. And I don't know what Jane's is yet, but we'll look it up together if you want to hang out with us again and find out. So, all right, 2 minutes left. What else would you guys like to know about? I covered that kind of quickly. Oh, here's
So-
one back. Go ahead.
You said a panel that faces south makes how much more light than others?
It makes as much, one panel facing south will make about as much as almost 1.5 facing north, and about 1.1 facing east or west. East and west is really good too. But we can figure that out for you. We'll be glad to send it to you. Would you like to see how many, would you like for us to share some information with you to show you how many solar panels it would take? We'll be happy. We'll make Luke do it.
Oh, for my house?
Yeah, just to
No,
see.
it's in the process of being sold, so no,
Well,
not the- maybe the next one.
Are you moving
Yeah,
down to
no.
Florida to be near the grandkids, or are you going somewhere else?
I'd like that, but probably not right away.
Well, thank you for being a hospice nurse, Jane. I really appreciate your kindness towards humans, and thank you for being the kind of grandma willing to support your kids. So when you do get your new house, remember where to find us. Over and over.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah,
sun comes up
sounds
over and
good.
over again. And I'm going to make
Thank
Jason
you.
stay on here
Thank
for
you.
another 2 hours. But Chantel's on here and Rebecca's on here. Rebecca, you said we could create something for you. Chantel, would you like for us to create something for your home to show you like how many panels?
Yeah, I would maybe like offline, maybe not tonight, but yeah, if you guys can send something of what like I would like to better understand what a startup process to actually do this in my home would look like.
Cool.
Like
Well,
what
that-
would startup cost be, you know, what I would need just to understand what that process looks like to convert.
Great. Well, the startup cost is 0 if you choose to do it that way. So you can literally have panels put on your house, making electricity before you ever make a payment for them. And so
Now,
And-
silly question. This is silly, but how does it work if, let's say, I was to do it prematurely, and then, let's say, a couple years down the line, I need to do my roof? How does that affect?
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to answer that question. But before I do, I want to acknowledge the fact that it's 8:25. That doesn't mean that you have to go, but I said we would be done now. And everybody, if you would like to come back and meet with us again, click the chat box and book a time. And then I'm going to answer Chantel's question. First of all, Chantel, you probably won't ever have to replace the roof under your solar panels because it protects your roof so well.
No, but I need, I'm saying now, because we just moved and my roof needs to get done, but we might not do it this year, might not do it next year. We might do it maybe in a couple years. But
Yeah.
let's say I wanted to go through this exercise of converting to solar power,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, the good news
before I do all that.
the good news is that, you know, that 26% tax credit, it counts a new roof that's needed for a solar project. You can also get a tax credit for the part of the roof that is used for solar. So one thing to consider is that because of the tax credit, it might be worth doing earlier than you thought, because the solar panels are going to extend the life. So your next roof is going to more than make up for those 1 or 2 years. And if you were Jason, 2 years of electricity payments is like $6,000. So it's unlikely you would, I don't know, you kind of want a hurricane to come and blow the roof off so that you can cash in on the insurance. And like, you don't really want that. But a lot of people in Miami have told me that's the game they play. They wait for it to get blown away so they don't have to pay for it. But you might be able to save enough on electricity to make it to make it make sense to go ahead and get it done early.
And to that note, how does that work as far as like, do you have to get them insured? Like I do live in Florida, so we do get a lot of hurricanes. So how does that work? Do they have to get insured, or how does that?
They are covered under your homeowner's insurance. Typically, it does not require increasing your coverage amount to cover your panels. And more importantly, they are engineered in a way so they don't blow away unless your roof does. Like you can't even put them up until they're in. I say that, but there's always Hurricane Andrew that comes along and that'll blow your whole home away. So if the big bad wolf comes and you realize you have a wood house instead of a brick house, like and the big bad wolf blows away your house, your solar panels are covered. Yes. And part of our process, Chantel, is making sure that's the case. So if you chose to allow us to guide your solar journey, then part of the process is the first step in going solar is figuring out how many panels you need. And the only way to know that is to know exactly how much electricity that you need to make. Then the second step is going and getting some quotes to make sure that we're not lying to you and there's actually a really good deal. And then it's figuring out, do I want to do it now or later? And that's just a math equation. Like it might make more financial sense to do it now. It might make more financial sense to do it later, but that's up to you. Did I just freeze or did John and Chantel freeze? John's here. He's got Chantel, can you still hear me? Yeah. And then it's just, you're muted. You're muted, girl. I'm gonna ask you to unmute.
Sorry about that. No. I heard you cut off for just 3 seconds, but I hear you now.
Yeah. So the short answer to your question is yeah, insurance. But the longer answer is they don't really blow away. Or else people wouldn't put them on their house.
No, I was just curious if they needed to be, insured differently than you would typically insure your home.
That was the question. No, it's covered under your typical homeowner's insurance.
Got it.
And if it's not, we'll tell you. And then we've got some Archimedean families and some Sobe families that have insurance firms. And they already said they'd be more than willing to help people have the right insurance. We can refer you to them if you need a different place to go.
Got it.
Is there anything? This has been really fun. I've really enjoyed you guys being here tonight. And so, Jason, what kind of questions do you have, or what other kind of things are y'all curious about? I've got a lot to show you.
One of your screens you pulled up had other questions about when will your electricity be paid off. And I understand the concept of rent versus mortgage, and that's why you buy to stop renting. So your money actually goes towards something. Help me understand, there's no upfront costs. And now that I'm quote unquote paying for the electricity, but eventually is the goal that I will no longer have to pay for electricity because the panels will pay for themselves. How does that work?
The goal is John, how would you explain this? I've been talking too much. I want to hear you talk.
I want to hear John's voice. I miss John's voice.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Jason. If sunshine is free and solar panels can be something you can own, like this water bottle.
Right. If I were to do solar, I wouldn't rent it. I would buy it and own it.
Correct. We don't even offer people to rent it. So a lot of times people will get quotes and it'll be to basically have somebody else buy their solar panels and them to rent the electricity produced. We don't offer that because we don't think that's in the homeowner's best interest. But in general, because people ask, what is the return on my investment going to be if I go solar? And that's a super common question. And we like to ask the question back, well, Jason, what's the return on your electricity bill?
Go for it.
It's it's negative 100.
No return, so I get that.
Yeah, whatever you do with the electricity is your return. Otherwise, it's negative 100%.
Right. I'm just paying for it and the money's going out the window, right?
So that's the concept you mentioned earlier about renting versus owning, right? One of them increases the value of your property. One of them doesn't. One of them allows you to produce electricity where you live. One of them relies on vulnerable power lines to stay intact after a storm for you to keep your lights on. There's so many different things that you can't look at it apples to apples. But as you said, how does it work, right? Well, whenever you've completely paid off your solar panels, the sunshine's still going to be free, Jason. And the panels don't require any maintenance. They have zero moving parts. The very first solar panels that were installed 67 years ago are still working today. They're just warranted for 25 years. You don't need to do oil changes or maintenance of any sort. So if you want to pay off your solar panels in 5 years, you can. And then you can have no electricity costs other than what your utility company wants to charge you to stay connected to the power grid. For me, I'm a Duke customer. They charge me $15.81 a month, even though I don't buy any electricity from them. I produce all my own electricity. I just stay connected to the power lines so I don't have to have a battery. So after dark or when it's cloudy or rainy, I know Jane was talking about in Ohio about how it's overcast a lot. Well, it doesn't matter what the weather's like, or if I have my entire family over for 3 months, I'm not going to run out of electricity because I'm still connected to the power company. I just don't have to pay them for electricity because I produce it myself.
Yeah, here's an example. Go ahead, John.
So if you don't, excuse me.
Yeah, so what were we going to say, Jane?
If you're not connected to the power company, you need battery banks to store this electric you're making, right?
Yes.
If
you can use it.
If you choose to disconnect from the power company, but most people like staying connected to the power company because it saves them money. It's like, so for instance, if you saw from the example Lester used earlier, the people that went solar, they didn't pay anything to have their solar panels installed and activated. And then because they were producing their own electricity, they actually got rid of their electricity bill. And their solar payment was less than their electricity bill. So they actually were saving money month to month without any upfront costs. It's kind of like a lot of people, if they decided to own a house and they chose a 30-year mortgage, their mortgage is way less than their rent used to be.
Sure.
And that's how solar panels work. If you choose to pay them off over like 20 or 25 years, is that your solar payment's less than your electricity bill used to be. If you wanted to get a battery, then your solar payment would be a little bit more than your electricity bill. So you might not be saving money, but you also have energy independence as well.
Yeah, and so
Right.
I just thought something for the first time, Jason, since we've been doing this for months because of the question you asked. So thank you. So this is an example of somebody who is making a monthly payment of $90 with the money that they used to be paying the power company. So they have the same electricity for $37 less, plus every month it's an ownership payment. But if you paid cash for this $90 would be zero. And then every month you would have $127 that you don't pay anymore because you can make your own electricity. And you just put that back in your savings account. And every month that goes up. So eventually your money comes back, but your electricity bill never does. Because
Now, does that $90 include my electricity bill that I, like John said, he still pays the $15 to stay connected in the event that it's, cloudy for 6 weeks or family comes over? Does that 90 include staying connected to the power lines in addition to the cost of your new solar power?
In addition to the installation, in addition, yes,
all those costs are
all of it. This is like you got solar on your house and it's working and you don't have to pay anything else. And that $90 in this case does include the $12.
You get to choose what you want your payment to be, just like you choose what you want your mortgage payment.
Depending on whether it's a 5-year, 10-year, or whatever it might be.
Exactly.
Right. I get that.
It's just kind of, how do you feel about financing costs and how do you feel about paying for things with cash? Some people are like, we have a lot of people just write a check for the whole thing and get rid of their energy costs forever, especially retirees. They're like, you know what? I'm locking in my electricity costs forever as opposed to being subject to escalating utility bills throughout time. But I just wanted to pause and say, hey, Jane, I know that you were kind of asking some questions and showing some curiosity. Is there something that we could continue to explore to answer questions that you had about battery?
Yeah, your panels last for years, but how about the inverter and the batteries? They have to be replaced. If you have batteries, they would have to be replaced. How often do you think?
That's a great question. So the panels and the inverters that you would use if you didn't get batteries come with 25-year warranties. If you chose batteries, the inverter that we chose, which is the one in that picture above the stack of batteries, that one comes with a 12-year warranty. And the batteries come with a 4,000 cycle warranty. So that would mean if you use the batteries every single day, they would be warranted for over 11 years.
Almost 11 years, yeah.
Or almost 11 years. So, but most people don't choose to use their batteries every day. They use them like a generator. Whenever the power goes out, they use their batteries as like a generator or a backup power. But if you do have utility company like Georgia Power, then you might want to use your batteries more often because they don't pay you as much as you could get if you stored it and used it yourself.
Okay, most electric companies will pay you if you make more electricity and you sell it back to them, right?
Yes, ma'am. Like here's an example of one down in Texas. This is our buddy. And we'll look yours up. I guess you're moving, but in your new house, we'll look it up. This is our friend who bought $93 worth of energy at night and on cloudy days. Then on the pretty days, he made everything that his home needed plus an extra $107. So at the end of the month, the utility company owed him $15. And that's not an aberration. This was He got his panels put up in October. So he didn't start creating credits until November. They owed him $15. Then they owed him $41. Then they owed him $24. Then he traded all of his credits in during that ice storm. And he had to write them a check for $1.43. Then he owed them $37. But then the very next month, they owed him 55 or 53. And the next month, they owed him 79. So he's got all those credits.
Okay, I see. And what kind of interest rate do you have on the mortgage of these?
It depends on how many years you want to put it out for. But if you have decent credit, like around a 730, it's 4.49% for a 21-year loan. And it's less than that for the shorter loans. But on the thing that I guess we won't create it for you, will we? Huh.
Well, Jane, the best way to pay for your solar panels, as far as interest rate and things like that, is actually, a lot of people have been doing refinancing of their homes. And they've seen that not only has the interest rate gone below 2% for them, which is better than 4.5%, but they've also decreased the cost of their mortgage, in some cases by more than the increase in cost of adding the solar payment. So somebody can refinance their house, invest in their home and produce electricity on it, and pay about the same mortgage, but delete their electricity bill. So there's a lot of ways to pay for solar. We're not really here to tell people how to do that because we don't know your credit score, your financial situation. All we're here to say is it's 2021. Sunshine has always been free. Solar technology is in a way now where it is actually less expensive to produce electricity yourself than it is to pay your utility company to produce it for you. And you're doing it where you live, not a couple 100 miles away, separated by vulnerable power lines. And you're doing it from a renewable source rather than burning pieces of the planet to boil water, to make steam, to spin things. So we're just hoping to help folks understand some things that they may have been too busy to figure out, which is, how in the world will I be able to keep my lights on when the sun isn't shining? And when people understand that when it's cloudy or rainy or the sun isn't up and they're still connected to the power lines like they've always been, so their electricity will be just as reliable as it has always been, it starts to open up some thoughts for people like, wow, okay, well, if I'm going to have unlimited access to electricity like I always have, then what other things do I have questions about? Like, well, if I'm putting solar panels on my roof, is the roof gonna leak? You know, that's the kind of stuff we're hoping to help people explore. Good night, Jason. Yeah, and we're just grateful that you are here tonight and that you're asking questions. Is there anything that we could do to make sure that you continue to have access to getting your questions answered?
Oh, I do want to know if I can refer our friends to this. We've got some friends who might be interested.
Of course. Would you know how to do that?
How to just give them the name of your company or
yeah, you could do that. Do you remember that little blue link that you clicked to register for this
That's not going to work. I'm going to give her another one. I might even text you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Jane, is it okay if Lester text messages you something to share with your friends so they can sign up really easily?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, thanks for being interested. So you don't know where you're moving yet?
Little bit unsure. We're buying a small house. Don't know if we're going to live there or we're not. We have a motor home that we like to travel in. We have 3 solar panels on it. So I know a little bit about solar. We really like it in our motor home. So,
y'all use solar in your motorhome?
Huh?
Y'all use solar in your motorhome? Like,
yes. Yes, we do. We have 3 panels on our roof, and so you can sit out in the desert for, a couple weeks, whatever. A
That's
couple weeks, probably more, if we didn't have to go get water or dump, But we can sit out there and visit with friends in the desert. It's kind of fun.
yes. What part? What's beautiful in
What?
America that most people haven't seen?
The most beautiful, Alaska.
What is it about Alaska?
Alaska. Oh, it's just the eagles, the wildlife, the mountains, the forests, the waterfalls. It's just all beautiful. The salmon, the bears. We saw them feed eagles up there by hand when the salmon wasn't running. It's just amazing. It's amazing.
Makes me want to go.
Yeah, you should. While you can hike. Go where you're young enough to hike.
I've almost got this link I'm going to share with you.
Okay.
I'm going to, in fact, is it easier for me to text you, or would it be easier for you to, do you know how to find the chat button in this thing that we're in now, or is it text?
I don't see a chat button. I'm on my phone,
but
I don't see a chat button.
Luke, you have Jane's info, and I don't have it with me. Can you send that link to the calendar link so she can share it? Not the follow-up link, the one that I just dropped in chat, so Jane can actually, and that's not the right one either. I just had it. The 25 for 25 thing on Calendly is what I'm trying to send to Jane.
I'm gonna text. Tell me if this text message comes through. So let's just see. I'm gonna see if I can send it to you, Jane. It should be simple enough here.
All right, I've got it now, John. It's in the chat.
Oh, okay. I was about to
Oh,
say
right
that
there.
working. Okay.
I see that. Let me write it down. Whoops, it disappeared.
The 25 for 25. And this
You
way, all
should
you
have
have to do is
Yeah. There you go. You can text message that to any of your friends, and we'll be happy to make a free solar design for them. We'll be happy to have them go through an experience like this where they can get all their questions answered.
Oh,
So did
okay.
you just get
I'm
a text
getting a
message?
message there now.
Beautiful.
It
Yeah, so now
came
you can
through.
just
Thank
copy
you.
and paste that. Send it to anybody you want, Jane. Thank you so much.
I have a question to ask you, Jane. Did you by any chance, I know it's a shot in the dark, but did you ever know a couple named Wilma and Emerson Jenkins who lived on Pine Street in Zanesville?
No, but we had a little house off of Pine Street on another street. We sold it last couple years ago.
They had a really beautiful backyard. She was about 75. She had biceps bigger than mine, which isn't really saying much, but it was at the time. And she took us in. She was our host mom, and we went around selling educational books when we were in college to pay for college. And it was my very first time ever doing that was in Zanesville, Ohio, and I lived on Pine Street.
Oh, wow.
That's how I know about Licking Heights and Licking Deli, and I know all about Longaberger Baskets up in Dresden.
Oh, yeah.
So
Great.
really
That's
grateful
cool.
for you hopping on and joining us tonight. And feel free to invite anybody, and we will be glad to serve them. So thank you for showing up. Yeah, so
I tried to show up twice before, but I kept
getting late.
Forgetting.
Well, better late than never. And
I
Sun Lake
guess
will be glad that you did. So you raised $50 for the band tonight. Thank you, Jane. We're grateful
Thank
to
you,
have
Lester. Enjoyed it.
you. Yes, y'all have a good night.
Bye.
John said bye. He didn't mean to hang up. He said bye too. John accidentally hung up. He said to say bye to Jane. So bye-bye. You're muted, Jane. What were you gonna say? You trying to get off? Oh. Cool.
Who was your friend that came on?
Jason Kinski sold books for like 4 or 5 summers.
Oh, nice.
Maybe I don't even know. It's one of those like a real bookman where you kind of lose track of how many summers it is. He went to the University of Maryland. He probably wakes up at 4:30 in the morning, like Jason. That's what he does. He was a guy on campus that always wanted to meet me at 6 a.m. And I was like, bruh, really? You gotta make me get up and meet you at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning? I would do it, sometimes. But he never had a problem with the mornings, and he's a dad now and a home. So we'll continue talking.
Cool.
What else is going on?
I don't know much else other than making sure you get the designs of those people.
Well, we've got a team meeting tomorrow. I'll see you there. And we got a busy day. We got like 4 follow-ups or 5 follow-ups and some investor meetings. And we got a lot of stuff going on, bro.
Cool.
Good to see your
Sorry,
face.
I was out of it for a day. I was just MIA.
Yeah.
Just sleeping.
This one, I figured you got wiped out at the Indianapolis 500.
Second weekend in a row, I got wiped out. Yeah.
Luckily, you have teammates. We got to figure out if you want to come. You can bring M with you if you want to. Tell her to skip work, come over and do an installation of Holly's next week.
That'd be wait, when is it? What day?
I think we're going on Sunday. I don't know if that's probably what we'll decide tomorrow morning to be sure. But I think we're going on Sunday. And it'll be like a get back team meeting. That was your idea. So Chris is coming. I'm coming. Holly will be there. John will be there.
Why am I just now finding out about this?
Dude, you're the one that told us about it. You're like, let's have a get back at Holly's place.
That was not me.
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
Yeah.
Maybe a long time ago.
Who's trying to connect on an iPhone?
I don't know.
Right. Let's